I'm here with Natalie Hitzel. It's 2018, alum of Rowan College of South Jersey. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
If Natalie's voice sounds familiar, it's because she has established a successful career as a voice actor.
CeraVe Daily Moisturizing Lotion, now available on Amazon.
Hey guys, I'm gonna go stand outside today, so if anybody asks, I'm outstanding!
Now, back to Scooby-Doo, only on your Cartoon Network.
We shall crush this rabble and cleanse this festering planet!
Google My Business makes it easy to create and update your business profile so you can stand out and bring customers in.
When you were a student at RCSJ, did you imagine you'd be doing this kind of work?
I knew it was a goal or maybe like a dream. I was very much like, well, it's something I'm gonna try, and if I can't, maybe I'll just start my own business or go into a trade. But I'm gonna hang on to this dream for as long as possible.
Please tell me about your experience with our theater program.
Oh my gosh. So before I started with you guys, I went to another college and they had like a basic performing arts program, but I knew it just wasn't something that I wanted to stick with. It wasn't anything against them, but I think Deb had just finished Les Mis and everybody was talking about it. I'm in Atlantic County, which isn't even in that county, and people here were talking about it. And I knew by that point I wanted to do VO, so I went and talked to Deb. I met her. She was just super welcoming and super funny. And I started with the program, and immediately I was like, yeah, this was the right move. We learned so much. We had so much fun. I made so many friends. As much training as I'll ever get in VO, the theater program with you guys was definitely where I'd say I learned the most and had the craziest, most enjoyable experiences.
Excellent. That's great. How did you begin to get work as a voice actor?
So while I was still at the college, basically if you want to work as a video game voice actress, you make a gaming demo. And I made that demo. At first it was like a character demo, so it was a combination of video games and animation, and I just started emailing it out to video game studios everywhere. And I didn't know if this was even the right thing to do. I had no idea if I was on the right track, but I did hear back from them and I started booking video game work. So I was very lucky. This is actually the first game I ever worked on. It's called Rigid Force Alpha, and then we made a remake called Rigid Force Redux that released for other systems like Xbox and Switch. This actually was the second thing I worked on that released. They did so well that they actually did get invited to a convention, PAX East, which is a huge gaming convention, and they made me a t-shirt, so they had me show up in this, and my character is actually all blue from head to toe, so I put a bodysuit on to cover like my midsection, and then they completely painted me blue and designed me to look like my character, so I got to stand at the booth for 4 days and scare the heck out of people, and it was totally a lot of fun. I loved doing that because they were all boys and they were so that was a great experience. When I was in college, I love gaming conventions. I've gone to a lot of gaming conventions where I just cosplayed as characters from games that I liked, and I remember going to panels and seeing voice actors there and being like, wow, that would be like the ultimate experience, and then I got to do it. So definitely a bucket list that I've very lucky to achieve.
Was the video game work your favorite?
It was for the longest time, but I think talking toys are probably my favorite now. This is Sweet Jammy Corn Lamb. She's by Hasbro. She's one of the furriel friends, and I got to do the voice for her. That's probably the most enjoyable thing I've worked on, and I'm very lucky to have done a lot of talking toys, so that's probably going to be my favorite.
How long have you been voice acting for?
I'd say professionally 2.5 to 3 years, at least doing this full time. I used to have another studio, and now I have this big dark hole of a studio that I absolutely love. This is all from my home. I live in the middle of, it's like farmlands / woods. my internet connection is amazing because my brother is amazing and he knows about that. Otherwise, I would be like in the middle of nowhere screaming into an echo chamber. And I've never once, knock on wood, had a complaint about my home studio. I've I think I recorded for Final Fantasy in here, and they asked me if I had rented a studio, so that made me feel good. So I'm happy with this. I'm very lucky to have found all this stuff. I assumed I had to be in LA, and I am not. I'm a very much of a homebody. I love where I live. I love the woods. I love farmland. So I had to really mentally prepare myself that one day if I wanted to do this full time, I would have to be in LA. But you really don't. I have no plans to either move to LA or New York or any of those major hubs. And I think I would have been much more relaxed, just in general, worrying about not just moving, but if people are going to respond to me or not. You're not going to get responses. The first 50 emails you send out, you're not going to hear from someone. But when you do hear from someone, you look at that email, look at what you did differently, and it gets much easier from there. And that's something I needed to learn because I got stressed out very easily.
Doing any acting in front of the camera or in front of an audience?
Well, I did at the college, actually. We did, I think I personally was in 4 shows, and other than that, I worked behind the scenes for quite a few shows with Deb. I did it. I loved it at the college. It was a ton of fun. It was totally scary, but exhilarating. I have done a few like fun on-camera things. I'm just not really an on-camera person. I have a lot of social anxiety, and I much prefer to be in my little studio.
Understood. Same. What kind of advice you have for someone who may be interested in becoming a part of the voice acting world?
Take as many improv classes as you can, acting classes too, but it's really important, I think, to take improv classes and get comfortable with the fact that a lot of times when you get in the session with people, they're going to throw new characters at you, because if you have a versatile voice, it doesn't really matter what you look like or what part you usually play. I just did a video game session last week where I was just a soldier, and then after my session, which was supposed to be done in an hour, they're like, okay, we're not getting responses from these actors. They never showed up. Can you do a zombie? Okay, cool. Now can you do maybe like one of the villains? We also need a civilian, and she has to sound nothing like the soldier. She has to be totally like soft and scared. So just be ready to take whatever they throw at you and change what you came in prepared to do on a dime. And improv classes really help that. If I were to give advice, I'd say keep an open mind. When I first started, I was like, I love video games, but I'm terrible at coding. I don't know the first thing about it. I love acting, so I would love to act in a video game. And that was my only goal. Everybody was saying, no, there's animation, there's talking toys, there's K-12 entertainment, there's commercials. And I didn't want to, for the first year or so, that wasn't something I was interested in. But as soon as I opened my mind, that's when I started feeling more relaxed, finding more work, and exploring things like talking toys, which is now my favorite thing to do. It's really about finding the work yourself, getting on LinkedIn, emailing people, but not immediately just pushing your demo on them, just having a conversation, playing the games they make. That's really important. I am a gamer, so it's nice when I can actually play the game and then talk to them and say, hey, I love this game you're doing. This is great. If you ever are looking to collaborate, I love voicing these kinds of things.
Are there any classes that you didn't take that you wish you had?
I think it's very important, especially in the acting world, to take some kind of business class. A lot of actors kind of are afraid of hearing that. Anyone in the creative industry I've seen, I've felt that they don't want to hear the word business, but it is a business. If you're a freelancer, everything you're doing is part of your business, and it's very important to take that kind of class.
Love that. That's very interesting. Very good advice.
I thought for the longest time, I'm going to do this for as long as I can, and if I start needing more money, I'm probably just going to have to get another job or go back to school, and I wasn't expecting this to work out, but so far, knock on wood, it's working out great. I am doing this full time. I just started paying for a new car, which I'm like flabbergasted that I have the ability to do that just by doing voiceover.
We thank you so much for chatting with us.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. I enjoyed it.